everyone, and welcome back to the RMTV Women's Podcast. This is actually episode 142. Like, that is mad. I'm joined today by Emma. Emma, I feel like it's been a while since you've been on the channel.
Yeah, I feel like it's just been a long day in general.
It's been a very long day. As you can tell by the state of my hair, it's been a long day.
I didn't want to say, but
I'm so sorry for everyone who's watching on actual video. This is not how I planned the Hairs podcast to go. But I just want to say quickly before we actually go into all the topics, I've just had the most amazing phone call. My parents are away on holiday at the minute in Cyprus, having the time of their lives, and I just got a phone call from my dad, who's currently sat having a beer with Lee from Gogglebox.
That is so cool.
Like, how random is that? He just calls me up and goes, "Look, Amy, I've got someone to show you." And then there's Lee from Gogglebox. So.
Oh my God, you should have got him to do an impression watching our pod.
I'm gonna get my dad to send him the link.
Do it.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Oh
Maybe
God,
Lee from Gogglebox is the next guest on the show.
I mean, I can never ever come on again after that because he'll just be like up here and I'll be like down there.
I don't think anyone will ever beat Lee from Gogglebox.
No. We should just ban, get him on for your 150th and then just be like, we're done.
Stop it. Mic drop. See you later. No more. Anyway, that's one way to start a podcast, I guess. That was really bizarre. I wasn't expecting that, I won't lie. Caught me off guard. Lee was trying to ask me what I was doing and I was like, can't hear you. I just can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh God. Anyways, we'll dive straight in. Quite a few things to talk about this week, mainly revolving around LFC women. As per usual, we are an LFC women's podcast, so it would be a bit strange if we didn't talk about the Liverpool women. We'll start off with sort of the breaking news from this week is that Liverpool Women's general manager Adam Greaves-Smith has left his position as general manager at the club. Been there for 3 years, and the club hinted within the press announcement, whatever, that following a club restructure, it's kind of a semi-reason as to why that sort of happened. In the copy as well, it says Liverpool Women is beginning to search for a new recruit. Of managing director. So it sounds like that role is slightly changing. To you, does it sort of sound like there's a big restructure going on? And for me, it just sort of feels like a bit of weird timing. We're so close to a season, and I thought we just sort of settled the ship. But what seems to be going on is there is more changes sort of happening. And what do you sort of feel about that whole situation?
I think it's a really positive thing. I don't think it's a massive upheaval or anything like that. I just think the managing director is essentially just going to be somebody who's going to kind of drive the commercial side of things, maybe oversee transfers, and essentially just kind of be the off-field admin, I guess, running of the women's side, which Liverpool have not. Obviously, that was what the general manager role was, but on a much sort of smaller scale. So this is essentially an upgrade to that role. So the general manager's role just won't exist anymore. That's essentially kind of been made redundant. This is coming in to replace it, and this person they'll kind of be like a level above in terms of where they sit within the club. So they'll have more kind of direct links with board members and with obviously Susan Black, who came into her position 2019 now, I can't remember, whatever year it was.
It must be that now.
COVID's messed up. I have no idea when things happen.
I think it's been 2 seasons.
Yeah, so she sort of came in sort of midway through the season before last. Yeah. So so obviously she's kind of in place. So it'll essentially be somebody to work alongside her, but their main focus will be entirely on the women's team, whereas Susan obviously still has focus elsewhere in the club. So I think it's a really positive thing, and I don't think it's going to impact anything to do with stuff on the pitch, etc. I think Matt's very experienced, and from people who I've spoken to within the club, I get the impression that he sort of deals with the kind of the day-to-day running of stuff anyway. He's kind of used to doing that. He's been around a while. He knows the club well anyway, so he kind of deals with all that kind of side of it. So I guess it's the things on a bit of a grander level. And I think they're keen for a focus on that because of the money that's coming into the women's game. Obviously, there's going to be 25% of the broadcast money trickling down into the championship as well. So I think it is mainly just managing that commercial side of things. So it's good that the club, in my opinion, it's good that the club are taking that approach and they're looking at that kind of longer term and wider picture. And like I say, I don't think it's going to affect things in terms of the actual real like nitty gritty on the pitch stuff. So I think it's a real positive.
Yeah, sort of like setting the club up for something that's like to come in a way, if that makes sense. I mean, I think we all know that at some point that, like, obviously the way the women's team's been over the last few years, it's been tough for quite a lot of things, and a lot of things have been changing in and out. Do you think this is something that's going to stable the ship sort of?
Yeah, hopefully. Like you said, there has been a lot of movement, so I think just having that kind of main person and that main kind of go-to person, because another thing that I've kind of like, again, from sort of conversations that I've had is that while obviously since Susan's come in, she has been a bit more of a kind of an authoritative figure, but certainly before her, it was, there was kind of like, who do you really go to for like big kind of issues? There'd be a couple of people that you think, oh, I'd go to this person, I'd go to this person. So I think it's going to help the staff members within the club, because they'll have just one sort of central go-to person as, this is where I go to if I've got an issue, or this is where we go to if we want to give ideas or whatever. So I think it's just like in general just going to give more direction for the club, for the women's team within the club in particular.
Yeah. Cool. Well, kind of talking on the women still, pre-season, bit of a mixed bag. Can't say I've been enthralled by it, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like just to talk it through, and for those sort of listening, watching, whatever, can you really read that much into pre-season and what the results mean? Like, is it cause for the ship's going down, the deck is burning, or can we be like, it is pre-season, we've got a new manager, new players, they're all still gelling with each other, we can't read too much into these fixtures, the ones that matter are on the 29th of August onwards?
Yeah, I'm absolutely of the opinion of, I don't look into pre-season.
No.
Like, look, obviously the defeat to Blackburn, not ideal, because you look at the starting 11 that we had, and I thought that was pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I think, you might be rotating, you might be trying out new things. There might be an excuse as to why, but I still think with the quality of the players that we had on, and with it being 2 weeks out from the season, you'd like to think that we should be beating Blackburn. But then at the same time, we are still 2 weeks out. There's still players who are, getting back to full fitness.
Yeah.
So, like that 2 weeks is a lot of time, really, when you think about it, in terms of actually being on the pitch and training. 2 weeks worth of training is a lot of time when, during the season, you probably only get, 3 or 4 days kind of solid in a row if you're lucky. So, kind of have that period, I think it's enough time to resolve any issues. And then you look at kind of the earlier results. So the 6-1 to Leicester, that was obviously a bit of a shock. But actually, from what I hear, Liverpool missed a lot of chances. So and probably should have scored quite a few more goals. So they followed that up, obviously, with a 2-2 draw against United, which is, on the flip side, a really positive result. So I wouldn't look too much into it. There's going to be rotation. They're going to be trying new things. I think as long as their kind of physical condition is peaked, so that they're at their absolute best and they're well rested, they're ready to go for the first game of the season, I think that's the most important thing. And like I say, getting that sort of training time and actual pitch time as well, I think is really important. But in terms of the actual results, I'm not fussed.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people will be the same. I think I agree with what you say about the Blackburn game. I think that was probably more of a shock than anything else. I won't sit here and say it completely doesn't matter. I was a bit disappointed, more than anything. I think because of the reasons you said, like the squad was strong. We'd obviously won against Celtic a couple of days before. We played good against United and managed to get something out of that game. Well, you don't get for that reason, but do you know what I mean? It was a good performance in scoring goals. To see like 2-0 against Blackburn, who, to be fair to them, have been a bit of a bogey team for us over the last season. But like, I think for what we're aiming to achieve this season, which is promotion, we have to be beating teams like that. And you know what? When the season comes, we hopefully we will. And obviously, as you said, this is only pre-season, but I think it's okay to feel disappointed by it. But it's also then you don't need to throw your arms up in the air going, oh, like it's all doom and gloom. We're never going to win. We're never going to get promoted. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to be disappointed with the result. But,
no, I absolutely agree. And like, that was out of all of them, that was probably the only result that I looked at and was like, oh, yeah, I didn't feel comfortable with the result. And like the rest, and like I said before, like results don't matter. But that was one that I did think that's not ideal. But and I think actually it's an interesting point you make there, I think, about them being a bogey team, because maybe that's another side where it is that you think, right, I've got a new manager, got a couple of new players, and if they're still going to be the bogey team, like, do you know what I mean? That's like you'd like to think that with kind of new ideas and stuff, you can get over that. But no, like I said, I think like there's 2 weeks is a long time to rectify anything that sort of wasn't quite working in that game. So I'm not worried, but I was disappointed.
I think the only other thing to mention about pre-season, and ultimately it might not have any sort of correlation at all, do you think that pre-season has been slightly disrupted? Obviously there's a couple of reasons. Matt Beard caught COVID, wasn't able to be at the United game. I think he might have been present at the Celtic game, or maybe he might even miss that one as well, but he was definitely in the Blackburn game. Obviously the general manager leaving. What do you think that could be a factor of it that we sort of haven't looked into? And is this setting up Liverpool women in the best way possible for this massive season that they've got coming up, or is it something that we just have to sort of take and go, okay, these are the things that have happened to us, this isn't, it's not great, but hopefully come the season that'll all be resolved and we'll be flying? Is it something that you think could be attributed to the way that some of these pre-season games have panned out?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't think you can dismiss it. But what I will say is that although it hasn't been widely reported, is that actually every club, as far as I'm aware, has been affected by COVID, and you might not necessarily have heard about it. But there has been cases where people have had to isolate or whatever, or they've been pinged. Because there are still, especially at the beginning of kind of pre-season, there were, still a lot of footballers who hadn't been double-backed. So that was still an issue. And obviously the lateral flow tests, we know they're not 100% accurate. So people could get negative results on them, even though that, they haven't actually tested positive. So, but just to be on the safe side, they had to isolate. So that has happened to all clubs. That is all I'll say. So I think kind of the issues that Liverpool have had have probably been very similar to the others. And actually, I think kind of like off the top of my head in terms of Championship clubs, probably only really Sheffield United and maybe one or two others, but they're kind of the only team I can think that's kind of had an uncomplicated pre-season in terms of like matches that they've scheduled and stuff. So I don't think
everyone's in the same boat sort of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is I don't think like Liverpool are going to be any worse or any better than anyone else really. In terms of like the move, like I said, but like at the start of the show, the kind of movement like higher up in the club, I don't think that really affects the players. Like they're used to that. So I think they'll be fine.
Well, let's hope. Let's really hope.
I think we're positive.
I know. Carrying on with sort of like pre-season stuff, an article came out in the Telegraph earlier this week, and I don't rarely take to social media and rant about things because I just can't be arsed. But this actually properly grinded my gears.
Oh God!
About the lack of pre-season coverage in the women's football. I mean, when you read through the article, according to their maths, which could be further or away from what this actual tally actually is, but apparently more than 90% of friendlies involving WSL clubs, so this isn't even counting the championship, this month were being staged behind closed doors. And to me, that is worrying, because I think that's such a missed opportunity. Like, you can, I mean, we'll start off by saying I understand both sides of why they're behind closed doors and then why they should not be behind closed doors. But I just think, like, it's an opportunity to bring in new fans ahead of the season so they can understand the team, understand the players, understand, I don't know, even pick out a couple of their favourite players, latch on to that so then they keep coming back throughout the actual season. And it's just, to me, having those pre-season games sort of just brings that little bit more exposure. Regardless of whether they mean anything or not, you're seeing the team, you're seeing how they might set up, you're looking at it tactically, blah, 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 things like that. All that being said, that's obviously the way I feel about it. I can understand the other way. I mean, it's up to the clubs, isn't it, in the WSL and women's football, whether it's an agreement between both clubs, whether they want to put the game on, which is absolutely fine. And 9 times out of 10, they obviously agree not to do it or to do it. And sometimes if you do get battered by however many goals, you don't want people to see that or whatever. But my stance is that I feel like it is a missed opportunity. And like, there's so much scope for people who might have not watched or seen women's football before to just tune in. Even if they tune in for 20 minutes, they can see that Leanne Robe's playing. You know what I mean? Sort of that.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know if you feel like the same way or what.
Yeah, no, massively. I actually spoke to Tom Gary, who wrote the article on Telegraph. I've spoken to him about this loads. So, like, yeah, I think me and him have probably been two of the most vocal people in terms of, like, from the journalist on this. We've been trying to leak as many results and information as we possibly can, because
Thank you.
I just think, I actually said this on a podcast last week to the Leicester fans, is that everyone within the game knows what happens in these friendlies. Like, all of the players know, all the clubs know, all the other, like, the opposition knows, agents know. The only people who don't know the information are the fans. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's just, it's ridiculous, because the fans own your clubs. Like, they literally own your clubs. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, they are the fans, and they control it, and without them, you haven't got a football club. So I just think, like, why are they the only ones being denied, hearing progress and hearing what's going on at your club? It just makes no sense to me. And actually, if you can't already tell, it actually really upsets me, because it's the fundamental lack of understanding from clubs that I just, how can they not understand this when it's a game that is growing? It needs visibility, and that is the key word that everyone keeps talking about. Any FA press conference or anything you're in, and they want to try and promote something, the word is always visibility. And yet you've got literally men's pre-season games being sold to however many fans at Anfield.
I know.
And then you've got a women's game behind closed doors against Manchester United, and, like, yes, that one was on MUTV, one of the few games it was, but Liverpool fans can't access that. So, and they're asking, like, what the lineups are and what, it's just not good enough. So, yeah, I'm massively against it. And yes, I understand, because clubs, and I've actually spoken to clubs directly, and I've spoken to players and I've spoken to managers. Obviously, I can't tell you what they say, but I think the vast majority are in agreement with us, actually, and it'll be 1 or 2 people within the club that are against the idea of it. But I think it comes down to the root of just the secrecy in women's football in general. So quite often they'll have trialists playing in these games, and that's why they don't want people to know who's playing, or they don't want to, put the lineups out or whatever. And I just think,
why does that matter? Like,
well, that's one question. Yeah, why does it matter? And also, why are you playing a trialist in a game then? That just wouldn't happen.
Why are you not having them in training? Training situations.
If you want to see them in a game situation, then you can organise 11v11 versus your academy team or whatever, or play 5-a-side games. I'm sure there's ways. Like, you don't have to play them against Leicester to find out, whether or not they're a good player.
You'll know, won't you, regardless of who they're playing against?
Yeah, I think so. And there's a couple of other things, like, I think so. For example, I put out the other day that Chelsea beat Leicester 3-1. I don't know which club didn't want that to go out there, but Leicester probably wouldn't. Leicester probably wouldn't have been happy because Chelsea had quite a young squad with academy players, from what I was told. Gemma Davidson was playing; she's training with them to get her fitness up while she sort of looks for another club. So, from Leicester's point of view, maybe they were like, oh well, we don't want it putting out there that we lost to a team that had a lot of younger players. But like we've literally just discussed, it's pre-season, so whatever results you pick up in pre-season, at the end of the day, it doesn't actually count for anything. So yeah, if you get stick on social media, so be it. But if that means you attract 1 or 2 or 3 more fans for the season, then surely that's worth getting a couple of people, giving you stick for a couple of pre-season results. But anyway, rant over.
No, I totally agree with you. And no, I literally totally agree with you. And I feel like a lot of people will be the same. I think, especially, I know we shouldn't compare the women's game to the men's game. Like, they are different in more ways than one. But like, you made such a good point there. Like, Liverpool men, I know we referred to them obviously, but they sell out their preseason games. They go all the way to America for preseason usually. Like, they go all the way across the world, and they sell it out. It's broadcasted sometimes only on LFC TV, in fairness, but obviously that's still a place where fans can go and watch it.
But it's free though. They make it free.
Exactly. To not even open it up to fans to go and watch, I think it's quite tough to take as well. I mean, it's one thing not streaming it live, but it's another thing saying like fans who actually want to go still can't go. That's where I think. I mean,
it's not even just pre-season as well. So Arsenal women are playing in a Champions League qualifier tomorrow. And it is 8:30 at night, and I still don't know. And we had a press conference today. We've been in conversation with Arsenal all day. We still don't know, unless it's been released in the last hour, that Arsenal have been given, whether or not they've been given to permission to broadcast it on their website. Brilliant. So I may or may not be live texting the game on the BBC Sport website at 11 a.m. tomorrow, and it's 8:30 the night before, and I don't know, because I don't know whether I'm going to be able to watch it. So that in itself, you're talking about the Champions League here. Yes, it's a qualifier, but this is one of the biggest clubs in the world. This is Arsenal Football Club. And yes, it isn't their fault, because it's down to the way that the Women's Champions League is. It's, basically the Kazakh team as the host team, they have broadcast rights. But surely, something has to be done there. It doesn't really matter whose kind of responsibility it is or whose fault it is. That itself is just an issue which needs sorting, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, hopefully it will be, and we will hopefully next season, pre-season especially, see a bit of a change. I mean, we're going into one of the biggest seasons there has been in WSL, like with the amount of broadcasting deals that are going on. I mean, there's no better time to sort of do these things, but they're still not being done, which is slightly concerning. But I mean, it's all a bit strange. I mean, that was just my rant of the week, to be honest. I jumped on the old Twitter, had a little bit of a type, put it away.
It's got to be done. I've just ranted away on this podcast, so at least you did yours on Twitter, whereas
we've got a social clip for that. That's absolutely fine.
Oh God, no, don't. I might lose my job. No, joking.
We'll finish on some. I don't really know whether to describe this as sad. I mean, it's kind of sad, but also it's a commemorative point. Okay. It was announced this week that Carli Lloyd will be retiring from football. Now, it's a sad day for football, but also we can commemorate all that she's done. I mean, 2 times World Cup winner, 2 times Olympic gold medalist, 300 plus international caps for the US, 128 career goals. 1, not just an incredible footballer, but 2, an incredible human. And she will be missed in the world of football, but I'm sure that she will not be veering off anywhere else. You might see her on Sky Sports next season. You never know.
That'll be good, wouldn't it?
Can you imagine? Yeah. I've just made Sky Sports a bit of money there. They should
just remind everyone that the BBC is the place to come. So.
Okay, so Carli Lloyd will be going to the BBC then. Scrap Sky Sports. BBC.
Get rid of Sky. Yeah, well done, Ames. Good
Thank you. You owe me some money now.
We'll just clip out the first bit. Yeah, no, it's what an amazing career. I think it's just the fact that she's still going is incredible. And actually, she doesn't retire until the end of this calendar year. And I'm pretty sure, like the US, I might have just made this up, but I feel like the USA have got like another 3 or 4 games between now and the end of the year.
I definitely read somewhere that she's got a few more games left.
Yeah,
so it's not like retired now. She's like, guys, I'm retiring, but later.
But it, like that in itself, because I just kind of assumed, and I think a lot of people did, that like as soon as the Olympics were done, I just was expecting her retirement note to come out. So the fact that we have still got a couple of months to see her and kind of enjoy her, and I think that might be because she wanted to play in front of fans properly again, and
you'd imagine.
Which I think is you know, that's what everyone wants, is to give her a send off. But I remember when she played at City, and I was like kind of new to women's football then, and I was studying at uni, or might have been before that, I can't remember. I was younger anyway, and and I remember going to watch her and thinking like, oh, she's the best footballer I've ever seen, like women's footballer.
Unreal.
Because I'd probably, maybe her and like Kelly Smith were kind of the 2 best players I'd see live, but she was just like on another level, and what she's managed to achieve at international level especially is just incredible. So
she'll be missed in football in general, I think, but those stats I read off a minute ago sort of speak for themselves, don't they? I mean, she's a great footballer who's kind of done it all across the world. So I mean, the positive, she's sort of making way for the next up and coming Carli Lloyd. You know what I mean? There's now an extra space in that camp that someone obviously is going to fill and really fulfill their role in the squad like she did. So she will be missed, you know. Because like when you think of the US team, you just think that she's going to be in it. Like you just know that she's going to be there, but you just have to think of all the amazing things she's already done. But it will be strange.
Yeah, it'll be weird. I think just, you know, I think a lot of people were maybe criticising the selection of the USA team going into the Olympics because it was, you know, an older team. There was a lot of young players who missed out who are kind of exciting talents, and I think a lot of people wanted in that squad.
Yeah.
And ultimately they didn't deliver the gold medal, so you could say that it was a wrong decision to take players like Carli Lloyd. But I do think that every time she came on, she actually made an impact. And
it was the experience as well, wasn't it, in the changing room and things like that.
Yeah, and obviously I think that, you know, they came away with a medal, which I think was good. But, you know, empty-handed from that, and she had something to show for it to add to kind of what she'd already achieved. So it will be weird when sort of Carli Lloyd and obviously all of the other players kind of follow her and retire, because they have been like the face of women's football for so long. But like you say, it makes way for all these really exciting players that are coming through now, that are coming through in professional environments where I mean, it is a bit different over in America, but there is such kind of a vast difference between one club to another. But the majority of, like, you know, when you talk about women's football as a whole, it's a lot more professional now than it used to be. So hopefully the new Carli Lloyd in 10 years time will be an even better version of kind of this older generation. So
I am sure. Well, on that lovely note, that is all we have. That is all we have, folks.
Wow.
We've gotten through quite a bit there. Had a bit of a rant.
Sorry, I spoke a lot. Yeah, I spoke a lot.
No, all valid points. There's never not a valid point on this show. But thank you, Emma, for joining us. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to us. A few different topics going on there. Pre-season madness. I want pre-season to be over because I want the season to start. So that would be fun. Only two. What day is it today? 2 weeks to go. Maybe less.
2 weeks-ish.
Weeks. Just under 2 weeks. No.
But we'll go with it's soon.
It's very soon. Tickets actually are on sale for the season tickets at the moment for Liverpool women. So if you want to see me and Emma, hopefully, and Lauren at the games every week,
Not every week for me, but hopefully.
10 times of the year. Yeah, make sure to get your tickets. We'll leave a link in the description below. As I said, Emma, thanks for joining us today. Lauren is in sunny Spain on holiday, so everyone wish Lauren a happy holiday, even though
she's having a horrible time.
Yeah, I hope it's raining every day.
Yeah, so
but yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you like this video, comment and subscribe, and we will see you all soon with another video.